While I worked 2 jobs to build a future for us, my wife lived the high life and chased after a richer man. She left me, thinking she was upgrading, but her new lover scammed her out of everything she had. Now broke and abandoned, she's begging me to forgive her and take her back. But I'm already living the life she was never meant to share. The alarm blared at 5 a.m., same as every day. I rolled out of bed and sat on the edge for a moment, rubbing the sleep from my eyes. The room was dark, except for the faint blue glow of my cracked phone screen. Another shift at the construction site, then another night at the warehouse. 6, sometimes 7 days a week. No holidays. No complaints. Vanessa was still asleep, tangled in the silk sheets I'd paid for, her hair spread out like a halo on the pillow. Even in the half-light, she looked like a painting, beautiful, peaceful, untouched by the grind that was chewing through my bones day by day. She murmured something in her sleep and pulled the covers tighter, not even stirring when I stood up and shuffled to the bathroom to shower. I caught a glimpse of myself in the mirror. Pale under the harsh fluorescent light, dark circles under my eyes, a scar still healing on my palm from an accident last week. I didn't recognize the man looking back. He looked old, tired, worn down. And he was only 30. Pulling on my work boots and faded jeans, I moved quietly around the house. Our little 2-bedroom apartment was nothing fancy, but it was ours. Or at least, I thought it was ours. Vanessa never seemed happy here, though. Lately, she had developed a taste for things just a little out of reach: designer handbags, fancy hair salons, boutique gyms. I didn't say much. It felt good to give her nice things, even if it meant I lived on instant noodles and gas station coffee most days. As I grabbed my thermos, I saw the latest credit card bill tossed on the counter: $623 at Maison de Butte. Another $240 at a high-end cafe downtown. Vanessa had the good life I promised her. I just wasn't living it with her. I left the apartment with the usual creak of the door hinges and a soft click behind me. The morning air hit me sharp, cold, like a slap across the face. It woke me up better than any cup of coffee. The bus stop was 2 blocks away. I trudged through the half-melted snow, each step heavy, boots squelching in the slush. My hands, buried deep in my pockets, still felt the sting of the chill. Work was brutal. 8 hours of hauling drywall up 3 flights of unfinished stairs, hammering until my arms felt like they would fall off, getting barked at by a foreman who didn't even know my name. Then a quick bite, usually a cold sandwich from the corner store, and onto the warehouse for another 6 hours, loading trucks under the flicker of fluorescent lights. By the time I got home that night, it was nearly midnight. I opened the door quietly, muscles aching, head pounding. Vanessa was sitting on the couch in a slinky red dress, scrolling on her phone, a glass of white wine in her hand. She barely glanced up. "You're late," she said, her voice flat. "I had to stay late to cover for Tony," I muttered, kicking off my boots. "He called in sick." She didn't respond, just scrolled, sipped her wine, smirked at something on her screen. I stood there for a moment, soaking in the scene. The way her gold necklace caught the light. The faint scent of her expensive perfume filling the room. The way she didn't even pretend to care how exhausted I looked. Something inside me shifted, but I pushed it down. No point starting a fight. I was too tired to even speak. "I'm going to shower," I said quietly. She shrugged, never looking up. Under the hot water, I leaned against the tiled wall, letting it scald my skin, trying to wash away the hollow feeling growing in my chest. I didn't know it yet, but the life I thought I was building, all those long nights, double shifts, missed birthdays, and lonely dinners, was already gone. Vanessa had just been waiting for the right moment to tell me. And that moment was closer than I could imagine. The next day passed like every other. Work, overtime, aching muscles, loneliness waiting for me at the door. I tried not to notice that Vanessa had stopped cooking dinner for us months ago, or that the apartment was more of a hotel room to her now than a home. Friday night rolled around. I thought maybe we'd have a quiet night together, like we used to. I even picked up her favorite takeout from that overpriced Thai place downtown, even though it meant dipping into my last $20. I came through the door, plastic bags rustling in my hand, boots stomping the melted snow onto the mat. I called out, "Vanessa?" No answer. The lights were on. Her purse was tossed on the counter. But the apartment had that heavy, unnatural stillness, like the air before a storm. Then she emerged from the bedroom, and my heart sank. She was dressed in a sleek black cocktail dress I'd never seen before, strapless, hugging her figure like it was poured onto her. Her heels clicked sharply against the hardwood as she crossed the room. Gold hoop earrings swung with each step. Red lipstick. Smoky eyes. She looked incredible. She didn't look like she was dressed for me. I set the takeout down, suddenly feeling foolish. "You going somewhere?" She smiled. A small, tight smile that didn't touch her eyes. "Actually, I'm glad you're here. Saves me from texting you." She grabbed a jacket off the back of a chair, slinging it over one shoulder like she was posing for a magazine cover. "I'm leaving," she said. The words didn't register at first. "What? Like, leaving for dinner?" I joked weakly. Her expression didn't change. "No, leaving you." I blinked. The room seemed to tilt. "Wait, what?" She sighed, like I was a child she was tired of explaining things to. "Look, you're a good guy. Really. But I need more. I deserve more." She swept her hand around the small apartment with a scornful glance. This isn't enough." I opened my mouth, closed it, tried again. "I'm working 2 jobs. I'm killing myself trying to give you everything. And I didn't ask you to," she snapped. Her voice turned sharp, brittle. You're the one who decided being exhausted and broke was some kind of noble sacrifice. I stood there, still in my dirty jeans and flannel shirt, the stink of sweat and drywall dust clinging to me, while she looked like she belonged on a yacht. You found someone else, I said, the words falling out flat. She didn't answer. Didn't have to. My heart dropped into my stomach. You'll see, she said, flipping her hair over her shoulder. There are men out there who know how to treat a woman right. Men who don't smell like cheap beer and concrete dust. Men who can actually provide. She breezed past me, heels clicking like a ticking clock, suitcase wheels trailing behind her. She paused at the door just long enough to look back. I hope you find someone, on your level, she said, voice syrupy with false kindness. And then she was gone. The door clicked shut behind her with a soft finality. I stood there in the silence, the smell of pad thai and cold spring rolls filling the room. The bag sagged in my hand. My throat felt too tight to swallow. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I sat down on the couch, the same couch we picked out together 2 years ago, and stared at the door for a long, long time. The apartment felt cavernous. Like a mausoleum. When I finally moved, it was only to grab my phone from the counter and throw it onto the couch beside me. I didn't want to hear it ring. Didn't want to hear her excuses if she called. But she didn't. Not that night. Not the next day. Vanessa was gone. And as far as I knew, she wasn't planning to look back. The days after she left dragged like a bad dream that refused to end. I kept my routine because it was all I had. Morning alarm at 5 a.m. Work boots on. Out the door before the sun rose. Swing the hammer, haul the loads, move the pallets. Sweat, ache, repeat. I didn't tell anyone what happened. What could I even say? That after years of breaking my back, she decided I wasn't good enough for her shiny new life? That she left dressed like she was heading for a movie premiere, while I still had calluses splitting open on my palms? No. Pride stitched my mouth shut. At home, the apartment seemed louder in its emptiness. The sound of the fridge kicking on. The hollow creak of the floorboards when I walked. Even my own breathing felt too loud. Her perfume lingered in the bathroom, stubborn and mocking. I couldn't bring myself to touch anything she left behind. Her half-empty bottle of expensive conditioner in the shower. Her coffee mug with the stupid "girl boss" quote on it. Her pink slippers by the side of the bed, like she might slip them on any minute and shuffle into the kitchen asking for pancakes. I tried to fill the void with noise. TV shows I wasn't watching. Music I wasn't hearing. Anything to drown out the silence she left behind. And the worst part? She didn't call. Not a single text. Not a single voicemail. She was just gone. It hit me at random times, harder than I ever expected. At the gas station when I saw a woman wearing her brand of perfume. At the diner when I automatically ordered 2 coffees. At work when I'd pull out my phone during lunch and instinctively look for a message that wasn't there. There's a particular kind of pain that isn't sharp but constant, a dull, grinding ache that eats you alive slowly. That's what those first days felt like. I remember one night, a Tuesday, I think, sitting on the balcony in the freezing cold. Just sitting there, still in my work clothes, staring at the streetlights. My fingers went numb gripping the railing, but I didn't move. I didn't care. For the first time in my life, I understood what it meant to feel absolutely invisible. Disposable. Like someone could pack up everything you were and toss it aside without so much as a second thought. I wasn't angry yet. That came later. At first, all I felt was small. Shrinking inside myself. A ghost haunting the ruins of a life I thought we built together. And still, no call. No message. No apology. Just silence. But silence has a funny way of sharpening your edges. It was quiet now. But the storm was coming. It happened on a Thursday night, about 10 days after Vanessa left. I was sitting on the edge of the bed, unlacing my steel-toe boots with aching fingers, when my phone buzzed on the nightstand. I ignored it at first, assuming it was some spammer or another missed work call. But it buzzed again and again. Frowning, I reached over and picked it up. Vanessa. Her name lit up the screen like a wound reopening. I didn't answer. Let it buzz itself out. Not 30 seconds later, another call. Then a text. Then 2 more calls in a row. I tossed the phone onto the bed and walked into the bathroom to splash cold water on my face. The water hit like needles. My skin was raw from working in the cold all day. When I came back, the screen was filled with missed call notifications. I sat down heavily and stared at it. What do you want? I didn't text it. Didn't call back. I just thought it, heavy and bitter. The next morning, it started again. Calls. Voicemails. Desperate, rambling texts. Please pick up. Please. I made a mistake. Can we talk? Please. I'm sorry. I didn't mean for it to happen like this. That last line made me scoff out loud. Didn't mean for it to happen like this? What did she think would happen when she walked out the door with a suitcase and a smirk? I went to work, the phone burning a hole in my pocket with every buzz. She kept calling. Lunch break, still calling. Last shift bell, still calling. By the time I clocked out, I had 17 missed calls. And when I finally gave in and listened to one of the voicemails, the truth spilled out in her shaking voice. Please, please call me back, she cried, breathless and panicked. He's gone. He took everything. My savings, the jewelry you bought me, even my car. I'm so stupid. I'm so sorry. I leaned against the locker room wall, the metal cold against my back, and closed my eyes. It clicked then. The man she left me for the more she said she deserved had played her. Played her so hard and so fast that she didn't even see it coming. He scammed her, drained her dry, and disappeared, leaving her broke, abandoned, and crawling back to the man she thought she could toss away like trash. It should have hurt. But instead, I felt nothing. No pity. No longing. No anger. Just a deep, bone-level satisfaction. You reap what you sow, Vanessa. Still, she didn't give up. Over the next 2 days, the messages became a storm. Half were desperate apologies. Half were wild, pleading promises. I miss you. I realize now you were everything to me. You're the only one who ever really cared about me. Please, just meet me. One coffee. One talk. I didn't answer a single one. Not because I was playing a game, but because I had already won. She was living in the very hell she built for me, and no amount of fake tears could buy her a ladder out. The harder she begged, the lighter I felt. I started sleeping better. Eating better. Hell, even my coworkers noticed I seemed different, like a weight had been lifted. Funny, isn't it? When the person you thought would destroy you ends up destroying themselves instead. And all you have to do is sit back, silent, and watch. The temptation to respond was there, make no mistake. There were moments I stood in the dark kitchen, phone in hand, thumb hovering over her number. But every time, I remembered. I remembered that night she left, dressed like she was stepping onto a red carpet. I remembered the look of bored disdain in her eyes, like I was something she'd grown tired of. I remembered the suitcase already packed, the words, "I need more," tossed out like cigarette ash. So instead of answering, I let the phone ring. And every unanswered call was a little stitch, sewing me back together. I poured my energy into myself for the first time in years. After work, instead of collapsing into bed, I started hitting the gym. Nothing fancy, just the old iron gym down the block, where the equipment was scarred and the air smelled like steel and sweat. It was raw, real, honest, everything Vanessa had never been. At first, I couldn't even bench my own body weight. But it didn't matter. Every drop of sweat, every muscle screaming in protest, was like carving away another piece of the weakness she'd left behind. Meanwhile, her messages got more and more frantic. Text at 3 in the morning. Long voicemails where she sobbed so hard her words slurred together. Photos she sent of the empty apartment she was crashing in, cheap motel bedding, a cracked mirror behind her. Sometimes she was angry too, hurling accusations between the begging. "You're being cruel. After everything I did for you? You owe me a second chance." Owe her. That word lit a fire inside me. As if loyalty had been a currency she'd already spent elsewhere, and now I was expected to refund her losses. The final twist came through a mutual friend, Danny. Danny worked security at a casino downtown. One night over a beer, he told me he'd seen Vanessa there a few weeks ago, hanging off the arm of some slick, smooth-talking guy in a shiny suit. The man who promised her everything and, apparently, delivered nothing but an empty wallet and a broken heart. She looked desperate, man, Danny said, shaking his head, like she was drowning and still pretending she could swim. I thanked him, finished my drink, and slept like a baby that night. For the first time in forever, I realized. I wasn't broken. I wasn't abandoned. I was free. Free from the weight of someone who saw me as nothing but a stepping stone. Free from the endless grind of trying to be enough for someone who was never going to be satisfied. Free to rebuild a life that was mine alone. And best of all, I didn't have to lift a single finger to get revenge. Life had done it for me. Her betrayal had already eaten itself alive. And every call she made, every message she sent, was proof she knew it. I smiled to myself, listening to the latest voicemail, her voice breaking mid-sob. It was almost poetic. The woman who wanted the world had gambled everything she had. And ended up with nothing. And me? I was just getting started. After nearly a month of silence from me, Vanessa must have realized begging wasn't going to cut it. Because one evening, as the sun was setting and I was lacing up my sneakers for the gym, she sent a different kind of text. "Please. One meeting. Just talk. I'll come wherever you want." I stared at the screen for a long time. Then, calmly, I typed back. "Tomorrow. 5 p.m. The old park. Come alone. The same park where we had our first date. Where she laughed in the summer air, sitting barefoot in the grass, drinking cheap wine out of plastic cups. The place where I once thought my future had begun. Now it would be the place it ended. The next day was bitter cold, the kind of January chill that slices straight through your coat. I wore my work jeans, a black hoodie, and my old leather jacket cracked, worn, real. No frills. No armor. Just me. I got there early, pacing by the swings where we once sat for hours talking about dreams she never meant to keep. I watched as she arrived. Late, of course. Always late. She climbed out of a battered silver sedan that definitely wasn't hers, probably a rental or something borrowed. She looked wrecked. Gone was the polished, untouchable goddess who walked out on me in a designer dress. In her place was a woman I barely recognized. Makeup smeared from crying, hair pulled back into a messy knot, wearing a too thin coat that didn't fit right, sleeves pulled down over trembling hands. She spotted me and immediately started toward me, her heels sinking into the muddy grass. When she got close enough, she just collapsed at my feet, literally fell to her knees in front of me, clutching at my jeans like a lifeline. "Please," she sobbed. "Please, I'm so sorry. I made a mistake. You're the only real thing I ever had. I was so stupid. Please give me another chance." I looked down at her, mascara streaked across her cheeks, hands shaking. The same hands that once pointed to the door and told me to find someone on my level. I didn't say anything for a long time, just stared at her. Part of me expected to feel satisfaction, maybe even joy, but what I felt was colder, cleaner, the pure, detached calm of someone who no longer owed anything to anyone. I knelt down so we were eye to eye. Her breath hitched, hope flashing across her face. You wanted more, I said, my voice steady and low. Go find it. Her mouth opened to protest, but I was already standing again, already turning away. I didn't look back. Not when she called my name. Not when she sobbed harder. Not when she crumpled completely into the mud. I walked out of that park the same way I had walked into it all those years ago. On my own 2 feet. But this time, without the weight of someone else's lies dragging behind me. I didn't block her immediately. I let the last few texts roll in pathetic apologies, wild promises, empty declarations of eternal love. I read them with the same detachment you'd reserve for a sad novel you'd already finished. And then, quietly, permanently, I blocked her number. That night, I slept with the window open, the cold winter air filling my room. No nightmares. No ghosts. Just peace. And a quiet, satisfied smile that didn't leave my face for days. The days that followed were the cleanest of my life. It's strange how silence can go from feeling like a punishment to feeling like a gift. My phone no longer vibrated with desperate cries. No more apologies. No more, please, just one more chance. Just peace. Pure, undisturbed, glorious peace. I didn't rush to fill the void Vanessa left. I didn't dive into parties, bars, rebounds. I didn't post any new beginnings, selfies, or revenge-fueled gym videos online. Instead, I went smaller, quieter. I rebuilt myself brick by brick. I found a new apartment across town, nothing fancy, but it had a balcony that overlooked the river and a little breakfast nook where sunlight spilled in every morning. I bought second-hand furniture, a sturdy couch, a real wood coffee table, pieces that weren't flashy, but that felt solid. Mine. I started cooking again. Real meals, not just microwave dinners and gas station sandwiches. I'd stand at the stove with music playing, stirring a pot with one hand and sipping cheap beer with the other, grinning to myself for no damn reason at all. Work got easier, too. Not physically, the labor was still backbreaking, but mentally. Without the constant drain of trying to impress someone who'd already made up their mind to leave, I had energy left at the end of the day. Enough to take on side gigs, save a little extra, dream a little bigger. I went to the gym regularly, but not to chase some revenge body fantasy. I went because it felt good to be strong for myself. To build something no one could take away. Friends I hadn't seen in years started reappearing too. Guys who used to call and hear, sorry, can't, Vanessa's got plans. Now I was the one calling them up. Grabbing beers after work. Shooting pool until midnight. Laughing until my ribs hurt. It felt like rediscovering parts of myself I didn't even realize I'd given away. And Vanessa? Vanessa became nothing more than a fading echo. A lesson carved deep into my bones, but not something I carried with me anymore. Not anger. Not regret. Just nothing. Sometimes, late at night, I'd catch myself wondering where she ended up. Living out of suitcases? Jumping from couch to couch? Still looking for someone else to save her? It didn't matter. Not anymore. One afternoon, while unpacking the last box in my new place, I found an old photo of us, buried at the bottom of a drawer. She was smiling wide, arms wrapped around me, the two of us looking happy and hopeful. I stared at it for a moment. Then, without ceremony, I tore it in half, tossed it into the trash, and kept unpacking. That night, I sat on my tiny balcony, beer in hand, watching the city lights shimmer on the river. The cold air was crisp against my skin. The silence was comfortable now, like an old sweater. No buzzing phone. No drama lurking on the horizon. Just me. Whole. Unbroken. Finally, free. And somewhere out there, maybe Vanessa was still chasing more. Still looking for someone else to fix the hole she carved into herself. But me? I didn't need more. I already had everything I needed. And best of all, none of it included her.